Hi Colin, it's Tuesday. First things first, I'm the realist. Just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. We could do a dramatic reading of fancy lyrics, but it's boring, honestly. Just like the song. And speaking of songs, the audio in my last video was admittedly pretty messed up. I didn't edit it properly, and even though I could take that video down and fix it and put it back up, I figured I'd rather just let it sit as a monument to the fact that I am going to make mistakes, and it's going to happen probably more often than that, and that is just going to be one in the beginning of Season 2 that I'm getting out of the way. So Colin, to address your last video, I'd just like to say that yes, we definitely romanticize the past far too much, and we oftentimes put way too much focus on this idea that we need to go back to that old time rather than appreciating what we have now and just recognizing that all of these things require balance from us. We as people need to establish the balances in our own lives between technology and face-to-face interaction and everything else that exists in between that, be it text messages or phone calls or anything else like that. There's no reason to just completely lord one over the other in any way, shape, or form. Like, that's ridiculous. Computers and iPhones and tablets and everything exist to make our lives better and easier and more enjoyable. Sure, you shouldn't let that technology control your life, but the majority of us don't. We know how to use it responsibly. It just comes down to being able to balance things, and that's totally okay. And Colin, your video inspired me to talk about something that I have noticed that is very strange about our romanticization of the past. A lot of people love historical movies like Lincoln, for example. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis is a pretty great actor. But a lot of people love the movie because it made history accessible to them, and it was interesting and enjoyable. But I personally have always felt that there is something really important that's missing from movies, and especially from historical films in general. Colin, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but people stink. Like, really bad. And the fact of the matter is that people used to stink way worse because they would wear layers and layers and layers of thick cotton clothing all the time. And they bathed far less frequently and had far poorer hygiene. So in some of those climactic scenes in Lincoln where he is talking to his cabinet and he's establishing that he has to get this amendment through, I am stuck there thinking, wow, this man has not showered in weeks. I recognize the fact that this seems minor, but I've always thought that smell in movies is such an important thing that is left out. We rely on smell for so much context in our lives, and the fact that it's missing from movies really is an element that I wish that we could put in there in an effective way, because it makes things so much more interesting. Pirates of the Caribbean would be a completely different experience if you could smell all of that terrible, terrible pirate body odor, and seawater, and rum, constantly. Oh! Transformers movies would be pretty interesting too. I mean, it would just smell like Shia LaBeouf's hormones and Transformer grease. Gross. Should I even bother mentioning the Lord of the Rings films in this? I mean, that's a pretty long journey with a lot of smelly dudes and a couple smelly chicks. Colin, I think that thinking about the smell makes it all feel just a little bit more real and a little bit more tangible in a way that we don't necessarily always get with history. Many people don't like history classes or learning about the past because they feel disconnected from it and they don't understand why it matters. And I'm not trying to say that smell is the way to get people interested in history and learning about the Constitution, but it does bridge a gap of connection and making things more relatable. We just need to think about the details sometimes. All I really have to say, Colin, is this. History smells. Colin, I'll see you on Saturday.